My client commissioned me to make a piece that would fit in a special place in their house where there was a big wide window and you know, a corner and then to the left a door opening. And what they wanted to do was to be able to have a low showcase and also a place to hide the TV satellite box. And so we looked at the layout here, and you know, the view you're seeing right now is as if you were sitting on the couch in the room. And so we designed a piece that would have this curve to it so you'd be able to see into the showcase part, and it would also function well for the satellite TV aspect. So let's go ahead and take a look as to how I made this piece. Well, I printed out all the plans from the DesignCAD design that I made, and here's a stack of pages for all the different pieces and parts. But maybe one of the most useful printouts is a full-scale plan view. And on this I've got the top, the bottom, the shelf, the glass shelf. So I can use this just as a template. And it helps me also in picking out the wood. Now, I actually have some planks that would be barely wide enough to make this top, which has to be 19.5 inches wide. But I wanted to have consistency through the piece. And so I elected instead to do some book matching of lumber, all of the same, from the same tree. And that way I could make the shelf, the bottom, or excuse me, the top, the bottom, and the wooden shelf, as well as that big end piece, which itself is about 16.5 inches or so wide. So here I've got a big 3-inch thick plank of cherry. I'm going to cut a section out of that and then resaw it, book match it, and that'll be the top, we hope. Of course, you never know until you open it up what you got on the inside. And then I'll do the same technique for the bottom and the wooden shelf and that big wide side. This has got to be the densest cherry I've ever worked with. I knew it was dense when I picked up that 3-inch plank and struggled just to get it up here. And then when I cut it down to a 42-inch length, it was still heavy. Well, I just measured the specific gravity. This piece here weighs about 15.5 pounds, just this one piece. And specific gravity came out to be about 0.75. Normally for cherry, the specific gravity is around 0.5. So this thing is 50% more dense than typical cherry. It grew out, the tree grew out in a field up in Callio, just up the road, and can't really figure out why it's so dense, but it is. But the figure is great. This is going to make a great looking top. Now the top, the bottom, the mid-level shelf, and the right side all were resawn from 3-inch thick planks from the same cherry tree, so I get good matches of the figure. But the wood had a lot of reaction in it when I resawed it, and I had to let the planks sit for a week or two to settle out. Here's the bottom right here, the two book match pieces, and you can just see how much they wiggle. This is the mid-level shelf after jointing and planing, and you can see it's nice and wiggle free. And here's the right side that I jointed, planed, and then ran through the jointer to get the glue joint here really nice. And the way I did that, same with this piece, I ran one piece out with the V here facing out from the fence, and then I ran the next piece here with the V facing into the fence, and that way any fence error complemented each other and you end up getting a nice flat joint. And then I ran both pieces through the table saw, ripped them to the same width so that I'd get nice square edges for my clamps to bear on. And this one here is all clamped up. I used 8 by 50 dominoes I used 6 of them to give me alignment and a little bit of strength, but really the butt joints, glue joint is really strong anyway, and that's been clamped up all morning. I'll go ahead and take that apart. I'll just show you how I run the dominoes in this and how I clamp them up, and that's how I'll do it for all these pieces. Well, you just saw me using the wide drum sander to flatten these pieces. You know, after you do a glue up, there's always going to be a little bit of bow or something. And had I tried to run these through the 20-inch planer, first of all, this one wouldn't fit because it's wider than 20 inches. But also, the planer rollers would try to flatten the work down, and so you wouldn't get rid of that bow. So that's why I always use the sander for that, and it works pretty well. So now, this is where these big full-size templates come in handy. I'm able to trace out the outline, and then I'll be able to take this over and cut it on the bandsaw, which will be the next thing you'll see. Okay, so here's the problem. I've got this side piece, it's got a 36.5 degree bevel on it, and I've got this stile that the door will attach to, will hinge to, and I gotta glue these two pieces together. You can see I've got the 36.5 degree bevel on that as well. I've got to glue these together, but I don't want the pieces to slip. So what I decided to do is to come up with a little clamping jig, a couple of cauls. This first caul has the same angle on there, and that will clamp to the back of the stile. And once that's in position, it'll end up like that, kind of keeping that in place. And this other caul will clamp here. Basically, I'll clamp all the way together for both cauls, and then put this on, and then come on with a couple of big clamps across here. We'll see how that works. Okay, so here you can see a little bit of a dry clamp up. I haven't used all the clamps that I'm going to need, but I just wanted to see how this would fit. Here's the side, here's the stile, a little bit of gap there. You can see I've got this one big caul, and I've got this other caul. These two clamp together to the stile, and then these big clamps clamp the side and the stile together, and it seems to be a nice fit. Well, this is the final glue up of the left side, and that little jig I made worked pretty good. Now you may notice I've pre-finished these pieces as much as I can before I glue them, so that in the little corners, like there's a little bit of a proud, this piece sits a little proud of this piece, and I don't like to have finish build up in those corners. So if I pre-finish and then glue, I can eliminate that. And then later on, at the end, I can just come along and put another coat or two of shellac polish on there, and that's a nice thing about shellac. It can just, the one coat dissolves into the undercoat, and you can clean it up as much as you want very easily.